Dear students of class 9A and 9B, welcome to my civics class. Now today's lesson, the election commission and elections. Points as I mentioned, the need for elections, the election commission, composition, functions, electoral rules. First point, need for elections. In our country, since there is a democratic form of government, each and every person has the right to be ruled by a government, because it is the government which can give people happiness, which can make the country rich, prosperous, wealthy, which can ensure smooth running of governance and can establish law and order in order to protect the country's independence, liberty. That's why conducting election is a part and parcel of the constitution of our country. Democracy is a word derived from the Greek word. That means in Greece there was a system when people assemble together in order to gossip or in order to do something. They are asked to discuss constructive discussions, to make constructive discussions which can be helpful to the country and country's people. So the idea of people, the idea of people became matchful to the word democracy. Demokros, the term Greek word came. Its meaning is people. That means people are the real source of democracy. People are the real source of democracy. People elect their representative anonymously and allow them to rule them. That means people are being elected by other people and ultimately they rule other people also under their consent, but for a fixed time, for a fixed period. Within that very period, people always make themselves fully confident. Otherwise, people know that other people under whose support once they were elected, they would be removed from their posts. That's why this system is a part and parcel of democracy. Appointing and removal, appointing a person to be the representative of people and dismissal of the same party as a part of democracy. That means the person fails to gain support of the people. On the election commission, in election, who is the head of the election commission? Who is the head of the entire election procedure? The election commission is the head of election procedure. Election commission is the head of the entire procedure of election. An election is held, that is general election. Elections are of different types, general election, direct election, indirect election. Later on I shall discuss about it. But the thing is that the election process is conducted by a person who is the head of the election commission. And election commission is a body headed by the chief election commissioner. Election commission is an independent body. Election commission is an independent body headed by the chief election commissioner. And legislature has no right to intervene the personal matters of the election commission. Election Commission cannot be. Election Commission is given the special right to work independently without being interrupted by the legislature. That's why Election Commission's decision is final in matter of conducting elections. Now, how much independence can the Election Commission enjoy? There are some points. Number one, Chief Election Commissioner can be removed from his or her office by way of bringing the proposal of impeachment. Once a Chief Election Commissioner is appointed, his or her terms cannot be changed. Number three, only the Chief Election Commissioner can recommend the removal of other election commissioners. So, a number of election commissioners can be appointed by the Chief Election Commissioner only for his or her own conveniences. That means a number of election commissioners are appointed by the Chief Election Commissioner in order to assist his work, in order to reduce his working load during the election. And now, composition. The Election Commission is headed by the Chief Election Commissioner. The Election Commission is headed by the Chief Election Commissioner, assisted by 2 election commissioners. Number one, there are regional election commissioners responsible for the functioning of the election commission in the states. The election commissioners are assisted by a deputy election commissioner and a secretary. Nirvachan Sadan in New Delhi is the office of the election commission. So, there are different types of election commissioners. Chief Election Commissioner is the head of the entire procedure of election. Chief Election Commissioner is head of the election commission. His decision is final. No one can challenge his authority. And another one, Regional Election Commissioner. Regional Election Commissioner is the head of different regions of India. In our country there are different regions, different states. So in each state there is one regional commissioner. In each state of India there is one regional election commissioner. So the regional election commissioner is the head of the state concerned, and his decision regarding election is final. But whatever decision he would make, he has to do it in consultation with the Chief Election Commissioner. And another one is that the election commissioners are assisted by one deputy election commissioner or one, secretary. That means the election commissioner, the election commissioners are assisted by a secretary or a deputy election commissioner. The election commissioners, the other election commissioners are assisted by a deputy election commissioner or a secretary. And the head office of the election commission is situated at Delhi. That is Nirvachan Sadan in New Delhi, the headquarters of election commission, from where the entire procedure of election is controlled by the Chief Election Commissioner and other commissioners. All these appointments are made by whom? Appointing of the Chief Election, or appointing of a Chief Election Commissioner, appointing of other commissioners. These all appointments are done by the President of India, and they are treated as Indian Administrative Service appointees. The Election Commissioner is supposed to hold office for a term of how many years? 6 years, so that he oversee holding of other general election and then hand over authority to the next person appointed, irrespective of whether he attains his or her retirement age of 62 years during his or her term. In fact, the retirement age for a commissioner is extendable to 65 years. In January 1991, under the commission, under the Constitution of India. But this thing is that the election commissioner, the election commissioner can hold his office until 6 years. Why? Because after having completed 5 years of term, 1 year more he gives, his experience, whatever experience he or she gains, he share it with other election commissioner who was waiting to be appointed after him, in consultation with the next election commissioner, the present election chief election commissioner, can get the next election, next 5 year, after 5 years election, once again general election is held. So the previous experience, whatever he has gained while conducting election, the same experience he apply, he apply successfully and get the entire procedure of election smoothly run. And for that reason, the election commissioner is given 1 year more time so that he can share his experience with others and can make the entire procedure of election smoothly, can make the entire procedure of election smooth and effective. For that reason, the election commissioner term is 6 years. But in case of special cases, for that reason, for some special cases, it can be extended up to 65 years under the system of the Constitution of India. Now, functions of the Election Commission. The Election Commission has some functions. The Election Commission has a wide range of duties and functions. Many of these functions are complex but require extra staff only for certain periods of time, especially during the time of elections. There are chief electoral officers in each state and an electoral registration officer in each constituency. The Election Commission holds many responsibilities during the time of election. When the elections are held, Election Commission, the Chief Election Commissioner as well as the Election Commission Department holds many responsibilities. In order to reduce the working load, the Chief Election Commissioner appoints a number of election commissioners and regional election commissioners in order to make the entire procedure of election smooth and effective. For that reason, during elections, chief electoral officers also are appointed, electoral regional officers also are appointed for each constituency, and they are provided with various duties and responsibilities, and they are supposed to carry out all responsibilities in consultation with the Chief Election Commissioner. Next one, preparing electoral rolls. The Chief Election Commission prepares electoral rolls during the time of election. Another important task the Election Commission, that is continuous process. This process is continuous, is to prepare a list of citizens eligible to vote. And this is known as preparing the electoral rolls or the voters list. Each and every constituency has many voters. Voters are supposed to be enlisted in the voters list, and the list is thoroughly checked by the regional election commissioner, whether any false voters' name are there, whether any voters already died but still his or her names are there. So this is a system of correction. In the process of checking the voters list thoroughly, the names, the voters already passed away, there is no existence of voters, their names are omitted from the list, and fresh lists are published by the election commissioner. Chief election commissioner finally recognizes it. Then, as per the current voters list passed by the election commission, the voters are allowed to cast their votes. This is known as preparing the electoral rolls or voters list. New citizens attending, new citizens attaining 18 years of age, people migrating from one place to another, and death require continuous revision. But the minimum voter's age is 18. That means a person having 18 years of age can cast his or her vote independently without being any obstruction. Then the election commission allows the voters having their voting rights, having their voters identity card. Each and every person is issued one voter's identity card, according to which the person is supposed to show their voter's identity card during the time of election, casting votes, so that the person having 18 years of age can cast his or her vote independently as an independent voters of the country. Up to this, my dear students, next day the remaining points will be discussed.